Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the largest gated community in North America, spanning 26,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains in south central Arkansas. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and some occasional guests as we explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. McGraw Realtors, located in the heart of Hot Springs Village, is the fastest growing real estate office with over 30 agents and staff. Executive brokers Lori and Ken Henderson, along with realtor and waterfront specialist Rick Marshall, they're eager to share the special features of Hot Springs Village with you. For a complimentary relocation packet, call Ken and Lori at 501-276-3018 or call Rick Marshall at 501-601-RICK. They are McGraw Realtors of Hot Springs Village. Renaissance Homes builds spec homes ready for sale and custom homes. Brandon Tedder and his team make the process easy. Renaissance Homes incorporates solid construction methods from the ground up. Brandon is a certified green builder. With a fixed price approach, detailed spec sheet, you'll know upfront how much it will cost. Every job has a dedicated project manager and an in-house design expert. From permitting to landscaping, Renaissance Homes is the preferred builder headquartered right here inside Hot Springs Village. I'm going to miss the hummingbirds. Yeah, I'm going to miss them. They're beginning to skedaddle. We were warned, hey, fill up your hummingbird feeders. These little critters need to get energized for their trip south. It's amazing that such small creatures are migratory. I wish I understood. I need to do some research. I need to deploy AI and have it train me on these migratory birds and how that all works. It's really amazing. It's magical. But I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them this winter. But other critters will take their place in the summer months. I don't know where the chipmunks go, but they're scarce. And in the winter, we will see them. We will absolutely see them scurrying about. So one of the advantages of being here inside the village is these four seasons and just how different things are. The place looks very different. It feels, based on nature, it feels very different. Community-wise, it doesn't. Well, yeah, community-wise, it can also feel different. In the summer months, or during the winter holiday seasons, the population expands. More visitors, more family coming to visit. There is a vibrancy here for a small community that might be unexpected. There's tranquility and there's peace, and it's not a vibrancy that you sense in, oh well, man, traffic is way out of control. It's not like that. It's just that you just get this sense that there's more visitors, more people coming to town. Thanksgiving and Christmas in the winter months, you certainly sense that there's more family coming to town. Just little nuances and things that you notice. I'm learning an awful lot from you guys. You guys are continuing to elevate your communication, and these Zoom calls are, I hope, proving beneficial for you, but I can tell you they've been super beneficial for me as I'm listening to your stories and hearing the things that you're challenged with and the things that you're trying to figure out at this stage of life. So I want to talk to you a little bit today here from the back porch just about some of the things that I've learned and some of the things that are kind of on my plate to try to help you with moving forward. There's so many different groups of people. I kind of keep refining the avatar of who you are because, man, the diversity of of everybody is really remarkable. Hummingbirds are just right behind you. I ran him off. They haven't left. They haven't left completely. But the herd is thinning. You can tell the population. I don't know if they. I don't know how they do this. Do they communicate and, okay, Bob, I'm leaving tomorrow. When are you leaving? I mean, I have no idea how this works. But they're amazing little creatures. At any rate, I digress. So here's some of the things that I've learned. There are probably more of you than I would have suspected, to tell you the truth, that are 2 to 4 years away from retirement. I mean, major kudos for those of you that are planning that far in advance. And listen, everybody dreams about it. I mean, I think younger people may dream of one day being able to retire. But I'm talking about those of you that are, I mean, you are planning. You're working this. You're researching. You're watching this channel and other channels. You're really trying to get it figured out, and you're doing this 2 to 4, in some cases, even more years out than that. I'm glad to see that. That's impressive. Now, I also understand that there's some of you, and you just love to research. And I've met some of you. Nothing wrong with that. But others of you are really, it's not that you're just in full-blown research mode. You're putting in the work to try your dead level best to get it right when the time comes. And I'm really impressed. One of the most impressive things that I've learned over the course of just this calendar year are those of you that are putting in the work to get the numbers right. Anytime I do anything that's got to do with cost of living, it really blows up. And I don't do that many of them because the numbers, the numbers are the numbers. I'm tending to do it about once a half because I think that gives you a good sense of it. I'm trying to figure out some ways to to kind of amplify that. I've talked to a couple of folks about kind of sharing their numbers, and it's one of those things, you hate to impose on folks, and you really hate to get people to share things that maybe they would rather not share. I don't mind sharing ours, but I also understand there are dollar differences. So I'm working with some professionals who may be able to give you a kind of a better lay of the land depending on where you live, how much money you spend on the house, for instance, because that's going to have a big impact on property taxes. It's going to have a big impact on insurance cost. And those could certainly be higher than the numbers that I throw at you that are my numbers. But that's the first thing that leaps to my mind is those of you that are really putting in the work to try to get this right, and I salute you. I think it's great, and I think you absolutely should. You hear me talk probably too much about the pros and the cons, and whether you come here, whether you don't come here, as long as you get it right. That's kind of the object, secondary to putting our best foot forward for Hot Springs Village. This is not, by a long stretch, this is not, kind of the number one retirement destination, even for this part of the country, for the southeastern part of the country. There are lots of places. There are lots of places in Tennessee and Alabama, Florida, and places have their own kind of a vibe. So I want you to get it right. So that's one big thing that I've learned in hearing from and talking to more and more of you is how much advance work you're putting in. The other surprise hasn't been so shocking, but it's kind of sort of been a surprise because early on I figured out that there was a segment of you who you retired to a place and some things happened. In some cases, health things, family things, a vibe, a feel, and in other cases it was financial. In other cases, the cost escalated and has priced some folks out of where they first went to retire. I was not prepared to encounter near as many people who have retired to a place and then retired perhaps to a different place and now are looking for yet another place. And it really isn't based on anything other than we're ready for a change. I got to tell you, I didn't see that coming. I just assumed that people in our age, in our demographic, I mean, if you don't have to move, do you really want to move? And I've been rather surprised at the number of you who you enjoy being in a place for a few years and then you're ready to do something different. I've encountered some people here in the village who moved to the village and friends came with them, or kind of, sort of, or they met friends while they were here. And then together, they have decided, let's go to Arizona. Let's move to Arizona. Let's do something completely different than this. Or let's go to Florida. Let's get closer to a beach. Just for something completely different. I gotta tell you, I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. And I'm a little bit jealous. I'm kind of envious. I don't know that I would do that, but just listen, the fact that folks have that capacity, I think is a great, great thing. And if that's something that you desire, why not? Why not? I can't imagine going through one more move, much less knowing that let's go and we'll just see how it goes, and we'll live in this community. I encountered somebody just the other day, and they're struggling because they've caught themselves doing this too much. They've caught themselves not staying in a place quite long enough. And they finally have concluded, and they are older than I am. I think they're both in their mid-70s. And they're like, we just kind of realized that we probably need to find a place and maybe stay there a few years longer than I said, well, how long have you been staying? Probably 2 years. And I'm like, 2 years? I mean, man alive, take me 2 years just to get the boxes unloaded. Unpacked, I should say. So that has been a real surprise, is how many of you are looking at Hot Springs Village as the next destination, not with the intent of, let's move there and call it a day. But it's been your habit to just kind of taste different parts of the country. I think it's awesome. I think if you have the financial capacity and you've got the freedom because you've got your health, or because you don't have this heavy reliance on being all that close to family where you just see them just regularly, it's just a different approach. It's just a different approach. And that was really what prompted coming out here on the back porch to hit record today, is just these surprising things that I'm learning about my generation. And who knew? I had no idea. I had no idea of that. You could have put a gun to my head and I would have said, people our age, we don't want to move, but some of you rather enjoy it, or so it would seem. I have heard complaints about how much money is spent to move and how much money is tied up. A couple told me, it wasn't all that long ago, after they had done this like once, they had all of their stuff in the home where they had raised their kids. They sell the house. They keep the furniture they want to keep. They did do some purging like we did, but they took the furniture that they had. And wherever it was that they landed, they unpacked, and they're there for a couple of years, and then they decide to do something different. And they made a decision, they said, after that first trip, because they said the regret they had is they wish they would have sold everything. They wish they would have just sold all their furniture, especially the furniture. And they wish they would have just bought stuff when they moved. That they felt like they would have had nicer stuff that was more conducive with their life now, because they moved furniture that they had had for a long time. And that was the regret they had. And so when it came to their second move, they decided, we bought all this knowing this is great for us, it's great for this house, and they were able to sell their house furnished, something that they hadn't even considered doing. And they said, that's just the way we're going to roll now. I said, so if you're looking at the village and you come to the village, like, what do you bring with you? And they said, clothes. We keep kitchen stuff, utensils. I said, but like your bed and stuff? Said, if we can sell it with the house, we're selling it with the house. We'll just, depending on the house that we find, we'll start over with the furniture. And I said, well, you got any sentimental stuff? And I think she had some kind of a curio cabinet. She had something that she had gotten from her. It was like one piece of furniture. And I said, well, it sounds like a plan. It sounds like a plan. They were not terribly interested in just selling it off piece by piece. They said, if we can sell the house furnished, that's optimal. But if we can't, we're going to go we're going to go to market. We're going to do whatever we got to do. We are not going to pay to move this stuff. It just does not make financial sense. So, well, good for you. Good to know. Which brings up kind of a sub-point of all this, and it's really interesting to me, the things that we're all learning. So I'm learning about you. I'm learning what you're thinking. I'm learning what you're trying to navigate, what you're trying to figure out, and how Hot Springs Village may or may not be able to play into your plans. But it's really fascinating, the stuff that you're learning. People think, well, these old people, they can't. Their days of figuring it out are over. Oh, contraire. There's a whole lot that we're figuring out, folks. Golf. Golf is on my mind because I'm desperately, I'm running off hummingbirds just left and right. They're wanting to tank up, is what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to tank up for the trip ahead. And I'm standing out here getting in their way. I've had a whole bunch of conversation about golf. Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, make no mistake about it, is a golfing community. I don't golf. I haven't played one round of golf in forever. I think I've played maybe 3 times in my whole life, and the last time I played was probably 30 years ago. So that'll tell you how good of a golfer I would be. I like it. I watch it I watch it on TV. I like seeing the courses. I absolutely love seeing the courses. I will go to the courses. It was my favorite place to rent, Airbnb, but I'm finding that there are many of you out there who are golfers. You're intrigued by the number of golf courses that we have here, but I have been kind of sort of surprised at the number of you who are just like me. Go figure. People who like the fact that it's a golfing community, don't have any interest in playing, but a lot of conversation about golf, even if you're a non-golfer. I'm going to get with somebody at the POA and kind of go through some of the fee structure. I will just tell you that a round of golf for member rates can vary fairly widely. Some courses are less expensive than other courses, and it depends if you're playing in the morning or the afternoon. But a round of golf, when I looked before I hit record today, about the most expensive round of golf is still under $40. It's in the 30 something dollar range. And again, it depends on the time of year, it depends on the time of day, and it depends on the course. There are also annual packages that can be purchased. And based on what the golfers tell me, if you play any serious amount of golf at all, can be very cost effective to get an annual package. So I'm going to, in some future shows, I'm going to try to address that for those of you that have a serious interest in golf. I have found that you're not all that curious about the specifics of the dollar amounts. You're more just kind of wanting to know how it works and some ballpark numbers. And it seems to me mostly so that you can figure out, if we did move here, would it be cost effective for us to get one of those annual packages? So I'm going to address it from kind of that viewpoint. Because here's what I found. Those of you that golf, you understand it ain't free. You understand that there's money involved in playing golf, and it's where you want to spend your money, and you have figured that out. You have budgeted that, and not a problem. Not a problem. So for the non-golfers who could look at something and go, it's how much? I wouldn't know what a reasonable rate is for a round of golf for love nor money, because I got no clue. But I do know that we largely are a group of people who are so seasoned in life that we understand things have a cost. I run into younger people pretty regularly about podcasting and creating content and things, and everybody wants to do it, on the cheap. I get it. But it's like, think about the hobby that you've got. I was talking to a young person who was talking about starting a podcast, an audio podcast, and asking me what kind of equipment might it require, and could they do it, on a budget? And I said, oh, of course you can do it on a budget. And I asked them about a hobby. Did they have a hobby? They had a hobby. I said, do you spend any kind of money on that hobby? Well, yeah. I said, well, consider this a hobby. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, especially if you want to do it. If you want to do it well. Of course, the big thing is to practice and practice and practice. Same thing with golf, but you got to pay to practice. So we are long in the tooth enough that we understand our hobbies contribute to our lifestyle, which contributes to how we feel. and whether we've got some joy in our life, and there's going to be an expense to that. So I have not gotten, and that's kind of been a surprise, I've not gotten a bunch of questions about the specifics of golf with the exception of those annual packages. So if we played by the round versus if my wife and I got, an annual thing, what would that cost savings be? And I think that's just people being prudent and practical with their finances. So I'm going to try to address that, but that's been another surprise. I would have thought that people really wanted more nitty-gritty details because, frankly, you're so interested in the cost of things and the expenses to live here. But the golfers, y'all are ahead of me. Y'all already got that figured out, which is a good thing. I would say the same thing applies to pickleball. I used to run into tennis, but pickleball has eclipsed tennis, and I don't get that either, and that has kind of surprised me. Have gotten questions about Diamante, and we've tried to address that, and I'm going to continue to refer you to Terry Sosha. She's Queen Bee over at Diamante to talk to new members and help existing members, and she will be glad to answer any and all questions that you've got. And the Diamante golf course is to die for. It's mad dog good. And I'm a non-golfer, but I can tell the difference. It's a pretty spectacular place. Let's see if we can let this hummingbird. You can probably hear him chirping in the back. He tanked up. He took off. He's the squeaker. Some of them are, and I don't know if it's a male-female thing, but some of them, they're squeakers. They fly in squeaking, and they squeak while they're eating, and others, you can't hear, they don't squeak at all. So I don't know. He may be the extrovert in the herd. I don't know. Pickleball at Diamante, the courts are world class. Obviously, there's country club membership that's involved with that. There are pickleball courts here in the village. They are busy. They are busy. That community, it seems to me that community is strong. That is strong and thriving. So those are the two big activities other than lake stuff. And the lake activity here, I will tell you, and I do get this question quite a lot, the lake activity is slow cruising. Hard to figure that, isn't it? You'd think it'd be way more exciting than that. No, you wouldn't. It's slow cruising. It's people who get out, It's a lot of party barge kind of stuff and just out and about. Secondarily, fishing. 2 or 3 folks out on a boat and getting on the water fairly early and fishing. And the lakes here, and there are 3, the top 3, and there are more. There are 11. Some of these, quite frankly, they're just large ponds. But they're beautiful. They're beautiful to look at, and they're perfectly suitable for kayaking. But there are motorboats and skiing that are allowed, on the bigger lakes. We are on Lake Coronado. Lake Coronado is the second largest lake. Well, we're not on it. We're just right off of it. But I can see it through the trees over here. And when fall comes, I'll be able to see it even more once all the foliage falls. these are not crowded lakes. These are not lakes where there's just a lot of wakes being created and a lot of skiing, and skiing's permissible, and pulling a inner tube, whatever, behind a boat. You see that in the summer months. But the lakes, even in the summer months, the lakes are not overcrowded. These are not like the lakes that may be where you live, especially if you live in a metro area that has lakes like Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, on the weekends, honey hush, it's a NASCAR race on the water. And it's not that way here. The water activity is way slower. It's way less crowded. And so I think that's an advantage. And those are the big activities that are here. On a much smaller scale are all the more community kind of things and the group kind of things. But when it comes to outdoor living, golf, pickleball, and water or lake activity, and I'll throw in that hiking as well. And hiking is clearly a year-round kind of a thing. Call it walking, if you please. This is a community where you'll find people out and about on trails, and a lot of walking in neighborhoods, a lot of walking of dogs in neighborhoods. So it's a pedestrian kind of a community in that regard. It's not pedestrian in the sense of being able to go hit a bunch of shops. You park your car and you just walk to all of the shops. This is not that kind of a community. And that is another surprise. I have been surprised at the people who surmise that because village is in the name, that commercially there's some kind of a town square, that there's some kind of a shopping area in the village where a person walks, park their car, you can walk to restaurants, you can walk to shops, and I think people have envisioned that the place is probably a little more touristy than it is. This just does not feel touristy at all to me. I know that there's Airbnb activity. The number of units on Airbnb has probably doubled since we started coming over here in 2018. It's compressing as people are selling off their properties, and that number is continuing to come down, which frankly is probably a good thing for the existing Airbnb operators. But there's plenty of places to stay. Brandon Tedder, sponsor of the show, Renaissance Homes, is putting the finishing touches on some kind of villas, some short-term, and they're going to be spectacular. This is going to be a monumental home run, and we're going to do a tour of these once these get finished. And when you see these, especially if you have interest in playing golf and you want to have a golfing excursion, you're going to be super interested in these things. So the place is touristy in that we can attract that, and we can attract people like Rhonda and me who just wanted to come for this. But it's not touristy in the sense of just a whole throng of people and some hub, where all the tourists want to go. We're not that kind of a place. That was surprising to me. But I had come over here and I had visited, and that leads me to probably the biggest surprise of all. And I'm going to close with this one. And that is, how many of you have not been to Hot Springs Village? And how many of you have not even been to the state of Arkansas? I was completely unprepared to encounter frankly, either group. It crossed my mind that there could be people who checked out the show and you hadn't visited Hot Springs Village, but I had no clue that as many of you are out there who have not yet set foot inside the village. And it was not anywhere remotely on my radar that I would encounter viewers who had not ever been to Arkansas. You know, because in my mind, it's like, this is where we have to step outside ourselves and realize that, you know, not everybody, we've got a ton of stuff in common, don't get me wrong, but we're not all the same. We're just not all the same. And if I just think about it from my perspective, then I'm going to miss an awful lot of you guys, because it wouldn't cross my mind to retire to a state that I've never visited. I wouldn't even think about it. I mean, I'm sorry. That's how unadventurous I am. That's how boring I am. It would never cross my mind. You know what? I don't think I've ever been to Montana. I'm rather certain I've never been to Montana. I can't imagine asking my wife, let's look at Montana. Of course, I wouldn't look at Montana because it just sounds too cold. Just the word Montana conjures up, it's cold in the winter. I'm out. But you get the analogy. It just would not cross my mind. And it's one of the first things I ask, have you ever been to Arkansas? And I'm just blown away. It's far and away the number one surprise. How many people say, no, not yet. Looking forward to coming and visiting though. And I'm talking about some people. One of the ones that really blew me away some months ago, a couple from Vermont. And then I started hearing more and more from people up in New England. And I'm like, I just can't imagine a lifelong New Englander thinking about Arkansas. I can't fathom it. And then I was reminded by a friend whose parents retired to some tropical place out of the country. And I thought, well, yeah, see, I wouldn't think about that either. And there are a boatload of expats who are going to Southeast Asia and to other places, many of them because of cost, and some, for other reasons. So that's one of those big shocks. And I work really hard to try to understand where people are coming from, and that's one that I got to confess to you. It's hard. I just can't imagine moving that many states away. But this is where I continue to repeat that Ron and I made the decision that we made largely based on the proximity to Dallas-Fort Worth. And that was for two reasons. Number one, that's where family is. And number two, that's where my business is. That's where my clients are. And so it was just not in the cards for us to think about. And I guess the third big reason is probably the number one reason, and that's we're not really retired. And I don't plan on ever retiring. I'm not the guy who's going to sit here and tell you about kicking back and you just get up in the morning and what do you want to do today? Can I do that? I can do that some days. I can't do that every day. And I don't want to, but that's me. So this is where this is a really individual thing. And as I'm learning from you, I'm going to make an appeal here before I shut up. Keep giving me your feedback. I can't tell you how thankful I am to learn what I'm learning, to get to meet some of you on Zoom calls or by email or through other means. Any way that you're comfortable doing it, I'm happy to accommodate. I'm super thankful to hear your stories. I'm super thankful to have you pay attention to this show. I'm glad that we're able to expose you to Hot Springs Village. and all the beauty and all the great stuff that we've got that just very well may be right in the wheelhouse of what you're looking for at this stage of your life. And if it's not, then that's okay too. But it's a glorious place. And first and foremost, it's a moderate climate. The winters are temperate. It's a terrific cost of living. It's high value. Some of the lowest property taxes in America. The state income tax is low. It's an easy place to afford. Housing here is still a high value. If you want on a lake, get on a lake. If you want to be on a golf course, get on a golf course. If you want to play golf, that's great and wonderful. If you want to endure leaf blowers like I have that just fired up across the way, then this is your place. Listen, all kidding aside, it's a glorious place, and you can live any way that you want here. You can be as sociable, and you can be as out there and as entertained as you want to be. And if you want to stay home and just be a homebody, my hand's in the air, then you can do that too. And the scenery is really glorious. I just can't say enough good things about it, but I love the place. And it's why we started the show on June the 1st, 2021. And I'm glad you're here for the ride. Email me at hello@hsvinsideout.com. That's hello@hsvinsideout.com. Let me hear your stories. If you want to comment on a video, do that. I have found that most of you prefer to email, and that's perfectly okay. I respect your right to privacy, but I'd like to hear your story, and I'd like to hear how we can help showcase some things in Hot Springs Village that may help you make the right decision. Till next time, see ya. Thanks for watching Hot Springs Village Inside Out. You'll find all our episodes at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com or on YouTube.